she has some things to say because she's in the memoir stage of her life, right?
You do things you regret when you're a young woman, and you later enter your memoir stage where you write this expose and blame everyone else for all the bad decisions you made in your past. So Crystal Hefner recalls group sex at Playboy Mansion with Hugh Hefner. Quote, "It was embarrassing." I think it's more embarrassing to talk about this openly at this stage than it was for that to happen in the first place.
Tell that to any.
It's true. True.
Tell that to any. Like it's the. I always post. There's this great, really funny video where this girl's like trying to talk to a guy. He's in his apartment. She's on the street, and she's like, "Open your window." He's like, "Leave me alone." And she's like, "Blah blah blah. You suck, and you suck in bed. You only lasted 2 minutes." And he stops. And he goes, "Still hit though," and then everybody in the street goes, "Ah!"
It's just an own. You can't.
Hefner doesn't care. First of all, Hefner doesn't care because he's dead. But you know, he's like, "I'm 80 years old."
He's
and
gonna come
I've got
haunt her and be like, "I still hit though."
She's not the only one. Haven't there been like some of the? Didn't like Holly Madison come out with a tell-all book too that was like
There's a
defamatory?
$20 one right there from Beanbag Actual.
Brett, it's not flat Earth anymore. It's donut Earth now. Oh, I didn't hear about this.
The donut Earth pictures are amazing. It's perfect. And then the moon is essentially a donut hole in the middle of the donut. Yeah.
Okay, so Crystal Hefner's memoir is called Only Say Good Things, Surviving Playboy and Finding Myself.
Oh dear.
This says it offers a raw and unflinching look at the objectification and misogyny of the Playboy Mansion, her stolen young adulthood.
She was a 25-year-old teenager, Mary.
Dude.
She was not responsible for her own actions.
She was 21 when she first visited the Playboy Mansion. She started dating Hugh Hefner when I believe she was like 22 or 23. They got married when she was 26 years old. Sounds like that's a personal problem. Like no one stole your young adulthood from you.
You know what? I want to know what kind of money she didn't get after he passed away, because what it sounds like is like she's trying to cash in on something because you're his girlfriend.
Probably
you're his girlfriend, so you're living in this very lavish lifestyle in this mansion with cooks and chefs and clothes and all the good things and parties and everything that you want. And now this guy drops dead from one day to the next, and you got to find a grift somewhere because she probably didn't get a lot of money.
In exchange for all that, you had to degrade yourself doing sexual acts that you didn't want to do. Well,
I'd argue that this idea
it?
that they didn't want to do them is arguable.
I mean, she claims that now. Maybe she's
It's
trying to
very
rewrite
easy to
history.
claim that now.
Right, because there's a paycheck on the line for it. Now she's got the memoir. But the reality is that, what Holly Madison is a perfect example. When she wanted him to propose to her, when she was one of 7 girlfriends, she wasn't having that conversation about whether or not it was immoral that they were in their underwear having threesomes in the grotto or whatnot. She was loving that lifestyle. Now that and this is exactly the kind of issue that we have. We don't even want to open up that can of worms, but there's a lot of these tradcon women, right, that have pasts like they do, and then instead of just accepting that was part of your past, you moved on, you got married, you have kids, you have a life, you moved on. Now you got to talk about that. Oh, I'm so ashamed of what I did back then, and it was so embarrassing, and I'm such a victim of my past. It's like,
thank you guys.
Sorry, hold on.
Hold please.
Thank you. I get the picture with what you're saying.
yeah.
I get exactly what you mean.
Remember when people still talk about it now about how you can be a born-again virgin?
I don't think you could be a born-again virgin. I just think that there's life after hoeing for hoes. Like, as long as you leave your whole days,
after hoeing.
as long as you leave your whole
That's
days
the name of Holly
behind.
Madison's next book.
Life after hoeing. I'll be at least creative.
Mary, you're too young to understand what it was like in the early 2000s when this was such a big deal. Whether we're talking about Paris Hilton, whether we're talking about Hugh Hefner and all of these shows, it was not just common, it was normal, it was accepted practice, and you were not shamed.
Next Door, right? That was the show.
You were not shamed for being a hoe. You were not in that context, not in like these television shows. They were not seen as less than. It was just seen as the next stage of sexual liberation.
Do you guys remember?
Kendra went to get married and have children.
Not Kendra. Remember when Christina Aguilera first came out with the Dirty video, which was like her coming out.
Yes,
from
I do.
This super wholesome, Disney type pop culture icon, and then she has this Dirty video where she's an absolute degenerate in the video, she never lost her value. People were like, oh my God, I can't believe that. That's not what culture was like back then. It was very different.
It was accepted practice.
Yeah. I mean, I personally think it's great that there's hoe shaming going on right now. I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think less women should be hoes, personally. But I do think that there's life after hoeing. I think that it's a horrible thing to tell women that because they had fun in their 20s.
What are you supposed to do? Seppuku?
Right.
Like, I don't get it.
See, it's like I have no.
They literally want you, people like Pearl, people in the manosphere, they want you to basically unalive yourself or put yourself into a life of misery, locked away on a island somewhere in a house and never talk to anybody again and just spend the rest of your life like repenting for
I mean, what is Pearl
sins,
even supposed to do? Because Pearl isn't a virgin,
right?
And she's career obsessed
and is
over 25,
very career oriented.
So here's the best way that I think when I say hoes should be shamed, here's the best way to shame a hoe: your choices. Don't consume hoe material, don't watch pornography, don't date hoes. You don't go out of your way to go into a woman's comments and tell her you're a hoe. No one cares. You just sound like an incel on the internet. I think that the best,
when we're older, like,
the best punishment for hoes, which is the argument we always make, society isn't actually punishing hoes because Fresh and Fit exists. As long as hoes continue to have...
Hoes are punishing themselves with their bad behavior,
you know, somebody like... I know that you guys recently had... Well, not you guys, but Tim recently had Fresh and Fit on the podcast, and Myron was on there, and he talks all the time about how women are hoes, women are hoes, women are hoes. But Myron has been found on sugar baby sites looking for girlfriends. So if you're on a sugar baby site where women are exchanging their companionship as a for a transactional exchange for money, then don't be shocked that women are hoes because you're surrounding yourself with hoes.
And you're the main beneficiary.
You're the main benefit. So
hoeing.
Don't reward that behavior. Don't reward it. It's pretty simple.
I just, at the end of the day, take responsibility
for this Crystal Hefner story. I would say it's an example where a woman will be complicit in or participating in something that she thinks deep down is wrong until the strategic point at which it's more beneficial for her to say,
I don't think she
I disagreed with it the whole time. I thought it was disgusting the whole time. I was scandalized by it the whole time, when in reality, like, you were one of the people who was worse implicated in this.
I don't believe that she thought it was wrong back then, and I don't believe she thinks it's wrong right now. I think she sees a paycheck and saying that it's wrong.
Well, here's what she says.
Correct. I think that's like her new grift.
Yeah. She says that Hugh Hefner would be controlling of all the girlfriends.
Yes,
that
of course.
He would even decide what shade of nail polish she wore, would tap her on the head when her roots were showing, and imposed a 6 p.m. curfew so Crystal would join him for a dinner of chicken soup with cream cheese and crackers daily. That sounds disgusting. After dinner was group sex, she said. It was embarrassing. I don't know the most people there'd been in our bedroom at one time, but a lot. Pretty bad. We were like, oh, now it's your turn. Nobody really wanted to be there, but I think in Hef's mind, he still thought he was in his 40s, and those nights, the people, the mansion solidified that idea. He felt, I've still got it. And he also would take so much Viagra that he lost hearing in one side, claiming Hef always said he'd rather be deaf and still able to have sex. Weird.
Look,
that's how men are.
At the end of the day, like, they can shame Hef all they want, but the dude probably died extremely happy.
And like, honestly, all that's telling me is that she went to bed with this guy for how long? Yeah. Like, do you know? Like, you've got to be a special kind of woman to date a man that's at that point in his life. Like, Hef could hardly walk.
Years old.
Right.
Years old.
Like, what are you knew why you were with him. You knew why you went into the mansion. You liked the luxury that came with being with Hugh Hefner, and then he croaked. You didn't get anything out of it, and now you're gonna write a tell-all book so that you can get your bankroll up. It's really what it is. I don't think that there's any real shame for her lifestyle. She enjoyed it while she was having it.
Yeah, I just think that these first of all, I think the conclusion here is that this is just a grift, because I think she's ran out of cash. She's not relevant. She's not hot and young enough to be able to go back into hoeing and or do Playboy. And
you gotta retire.
That's it. You know, where are her savings? She has no talent, so I'm not really sure how she's making money. I think that's it. But the bottom line is that these women are not victims. You're not a victim when you willingly, like, it's kind of like what I said earlier. Like, everybody knows, in my opinion, that Barbie is a feminist symbol because she could do everything. She was supposed to be the president, an architect, whatever she wanted. An astronaut. And it's the same thing with Playboy.
While looking like Holly Madison.
Right. Everybody knows that Playboy means sex, nudity, degenerate. So if you are auditioning or you're part of Playboy or you go date this guy, like what else did you expect? You're a sister wife. You're sharing this man with the 3 girls that live there, plus all the other playmates that come around throughout the entire.
And they're all like 19 to 22 years old. Like, why are you shocked?
That's why they're now saying like they stole her young adulthood. You're an adult, dude. Make your adult decisions.
Yeah, she also claims like I went into this whole Playboy Mansion world because I just felt like I had nowhere else to go and like I couldn't make something of myself. But you proved your own assumption about yourself right by staying there and underestimating what you were capable of. And another person here in this story who thinks that he is a victim is Hugh Hefner's son, Marston Hefner, who is now 33 years old and has an OnlyFans account.
What?
He says that he was raised with a double standard about pornography and nudity. He says there was a double standard when it comes to nudity and sex work. They believe it's not as acceptable for men to strip down as it is for women. You can be the CEO of people getting naked, but don't be the person getting naked. You can pay sex workers, but you can't effing be one. It's effing BS. That upsets me. And he says, my mom posed for Playboy. I was never ashamed of it. I didn't want to see her naked, but it was also just normal. Nudity is normal. I heard that all the time. And he says, like, doing sex work was normalized in his mind because he was raised around nudity, which doesn't sound healthy at all. Like, that... Am I just supposed to read that and be like, that's totally
like
normal?
cults that do
that doesn't sound traumatic at all for a child to be raised around group sex and nudity in basically a porn machine. Like,
I mean, isn't there Children of God? Wasn't that like a cult that was they always hung out naked in front of their children? And there's like Rose McGowan was a member of that cult. There's a couple of like famous people that were members of that cult.
Rose McGowan was part of that.
Yeah, she grew up in a cult, and she wasn't the only one. There's a couple of other celebrities that did as well. You know what's hilarious about this story that we just covered is that he's like, oh, you know, it's a one-way street and it's frowned down upon. It's not frowned down upon for men to have OnlyFans accounts. It's just that the biggest consumers of this are men. So there's going to be, in fairness, I'm sure we looked at his numbers, the majority of people that are subscribed to his OnlyFans channel are probably other males that are gay.
That's true.
Because they are the main consumers
Which, weirdly
of
enough,
this content.
he's married to a woman. I didn't expect that.
I was not expecting that with that picture that you just showed us.
Yeah. He also says on OnlyFans, people are really friendly. They say they find me attractive, which is nice. They find my interests and my genuineness interesting. It's just a positive experience. He thinks that people that subscribe to his OnlyFans are interested in him as a person.
They're actually gay men.
And all the people that bought Playboy from his dad bought it for the articles.
Yeah,
It's intellectual, you know. Like,
I'm very interested in what the women.
Women are not subscribing to men on OnlyFans. We're not wired that way.
The people that subscribe to him are gay men.
Yeah.
So that's who his audience.
That's who his audience is, and I'm sure that maybe they do care about his interests genuinely.
Yeah,
they're not women.
When he's discussing them in the nude.
I don't really believe it. I'm not buying it.
I'd love it. What kind of content does he have? Is it like hardcore or just?
No, he says that he like hasn't really gone that far, but it's like tasteful nudity, which
artistic.
He believes is an arbitrary distinction between that and pornography, and I guess I would agree since he puts it that way.
It is kind of like it's like when a girl posts a bikini photo and then she posts a regular photo, and you look at the like number from picture to picture. There's a disparity. That's why we get things like the woman who posted like praying for Maui and it's a bikini photo and you're like, she's like, I really do care about
awareness.
She's like, I really do care about Maui, but I really want to raise awareness for Maui.
And
I really want to raise awareness to how hot I looked.
This goes back to the point that we make on Mostly Peaceful Latinas all the time, which is that men love hoes because they continue to reward the behavior. If they didn't, there wouldn't be millionaire OnlyFans girls with majority male dominated population.
It's really weird that like all these hose pics are on Instagram publicly for free. You can look at them whenever you want, but why do you click like? why do you click like? Like, what does that have to do with anything? You got to see the photo. You got like the dopamine that you wanted out of looking at the photo. Why do you need to hit like on the photo?
Because they think that she's going to open that thing and she's like,
do they think she's scrolling through her notifications?
It's just that simple. They're fans and they like it. Like it's Like,
You couldn't show your
Bro,
bias.
the thing
more
is that, like,
openly.
honestly, and here's the thing, like, you think they'd have some level of self-awareness where, like, I don't want to be in some naked girls. Like, there's literally a butthole looking back at you, and your name is right under said butthole. Like, oh, hey, you know, like, so
Like
and
you
so
are
like
on a
this photo.
documented list,
And
like
then-
and like an FBI watch list.
Then
of
they'll
people
have the
that-
audacity to go into
Yeah.
the comment section of like a Fresh and Fit or Donovan Sharp or Saucecast or whatever it is and talk about like, oh, women are whores. It's like, dude, I
Just
literally
look at the
saw
following
you.
lists of any of
Right.
those dudes. It's all the same.
There's a lot of girls in Miami who do their like Instagram models or whatever, and they have an OnlyFans. I don't necessarily think they do porn. I think it's more like twerking
Lingerie.
or like I don't think they even do like full nudity, but all of them are either married or have boyfriends.
Yeah.
So at least for our zip code, our county, I can tell you that these girls are not struggling to find husbands or boyfriends. They're not.
No.
Actually, a lot of times, and it happened to me very recently because I was talking about Andrew Tate on my story, a husband replied back to me and he was like, oh, if you feel like this about Andrew Tate, do you think that I'm wrong for managing my girls OnlyFans? And I was like, if it's consensual, like,
Because you called him a digital pimp.
yeah.
I mean, I think it's unfortunate that
These girls are not
the
struggling.
clapback to a girl on OnlyFans is you should stop doing this because you won't get male validation. Like she's doing it for male validation in the
Validation.
first place, and she should stop doing it because it would be good for her.
For
to
her
stop.
life, her mental stability.
It would be
and,
good for her.
Right, correct,
So,
correct. This
like,
is
where is the normal like human compassion? You know?
but again, it's also an ideology that's based on bullshit because these girls get constant male validation. They're like, oh, they'll always say something like, yeah, but they get married to simps, bro. No one cares. Like, there's no wife that's being treated like a queen at home with a husband that loves her, takes care of her. She's got children that's thinking, wow, my husband is a simp.
It's a simp because
No.
user
Because-
339 said that he was a
There's a
simp.
$20 one right
Like,
there.
come
Yeah.
on.
One from High Voltage 75. I read recently that Drea De Matteo, Adriana from The Sopranos,
Yep.
age 51, started an OF. Do you think we'll see more and more actresses going that route as they age out of their careers?
Denise Richards already did
Yep.
with her daughter.
Did she?
Yes.
With her daughter?
Her daughter already
With
had
Charlie
one.
Sheen's daughter?
Yes, Sammy Sheen. Yeah.
Yeah, and Charlie Sheen
Maybe it's
reportedly
not-
does
maybe
not
it's not really-
approve.
Oh,
That's
wow.
that's the audacity of
Drugs.
Charlie Sheen.
Drugs in the house.
Drugs in the house.
Yeah. I mean, as it becomes more socially acceptable, like, and also since I'm not exactly going and researching these things, I don't know what type of content they're posting on there.
That does make it. We have a politician that actually ran in my district for us, down in the city council and commission board, that had an OnlyFans page for her campaign.
Oh.
Yes,
And
I know. I wanted to get her on the show.
Yeah, whoa, Martha.
I wanted to get her on the show.
Martha,
Why?
bueno.
It would have been funny. It would have
she's
been.
Wait, you mean it's an OnlyFans page with like
It's not
actual
really-
porn on it?
No,
No, she
didn't
does
have
It was
it.
like campaign-
suggestive.
It was a
yeah.
troll.
Yeah,
It's not
like she'll put
interesting
out like a
though, she
video,
sucks.
right? And it's her calling the commissioner, but she's like, "Hi, this is me. You've got some big things on the agenda for today." Like shit like that, right? Like
Okay.
it wasn't like that she was, but she was using the OnlyFans as a platform to push
That's
that
kind
on.
of funny.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.